Hello and welcome once again to another video tutorial on youtoocansew. Today we're going to be making an 8-panel skirt. Okay, so this skirt is actually 8-panel and I'm going to be using this African wax fabric. It's a very beautiful fabric for this tutorial, and I'm going to be using a plain black cotton fabric as well. And I'm going to be using this, is actually called collar gum. This is an interfacing. It's fusible, you know, it's a fusible interfacing, and in this part some people call it collar gum. I don't know what you call it, but it's really hard. It can also be called a stiffener. Okay, so this is what we're going to be using for this particular skirt, you know. So I'm also going to be using lining for this skirt, so I'm using a black cotton lining as well for the skirt. Okay, so to start already, I've actually cut out the upper part of the skirt because I cut out from the waist to knee length, which is going to be plain. It's going to be this black fabric. So I've cut this out. To cut this particular side out, I did a recent video on how to make a basic or a pencil skirt. So it's the same method that I use to achieve this. It's very, very easy. Okay, so you actually cut this out to the knee level. To the knee level. This is 17 inches and this is the front, which is on the fold, and this is the back. The back has the zipper allowance. So this is the length of this one is actually 17 inches, but I cut it 18 inches. I cut 18 inches out because, you know, by the time we do the sewing, you know, so we need seam allowance. So I've actually cut out 18 inches of this particular one. So now what we're going to be cutting out now is the flared part, which is the bottom part of our skirt, and that flared part is going to be 8 panel. Okay, so for this particular skirt, the measurement that you need is your waist measurement, skirt waist, your hip measurement, you need your full length, like the desired length of your skirt. So you need full length measurement of the skirt. Then you need the waist to the knee measurement, like this one that I've cut out here, which I use 17 inches. You need a measurement. You also need all the circumference, like I mentioned, waist, hip, and knee round measurement. That is this particular side of your skirt. So this is the upper part, this is the waist, and this part is the knee area. So you need this measurement. This is the measurement we're going to use to divide our panel. So this measurement is very, very, very important. So you need to measure around your knee, or like I said, when making a circle skirt, a pencil skirt, you take the measurements of the hip and then you deduct some from this part. So I usually take out 2 inches from this side, but it all depends on how fitted you want your skirt to be. You know, so this is actually definitely your own preference. So it's your own preference. So that out of the way. So this particular skirt, the knee round measurement is actually 36 inches. So I actually measured 36 inches as the knee round measurement. So it means that this particular side I'm going to be divided, because I told you it's 8 panel. I will divide 36 by 8. And when you divide 36 by 8, you get about 4.5. So I'm going to be working on with 4.5 inches, okay, for each panel. So if we work on 4.5 inches on each panel, at the end of the day, when we have 8 panel and we join everything together, we'll go back to 36 inches, which is our normal measurement. But remember that you cannot, you know, work on it without using seam allowance, because if you work with 4.5, and that means there will be no seam allowance, and when you finish you will not have up to that 36 inches. It will be less than that. So definitely I'm going to be cutting each of them 5 inches instead of 4.5 inches. I'm going to cut in each 5 inches. So I'm going to cut out 8 of them, which is going to form our flared side, because I know a lot of you already know how to achieve this. If you don't, please check out my video on how to the easiest way to achieve a pencil skirt. It's actually there. So I'm going to concentrate on this particular side. Okay, so to get the best result, we're going to be cutting each panel on a bias. Okay, so if you want to achieve the best result for this particular sketch, you need to cut each panel on a bias. So I'm going to be cutting on a bias, and see, I'm just spreading out my fabric. Okay, so I'm going to fold my fabric like this. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be cutting or working on the bias. You can see I've already folded it, like so. So you remember we divided the knee round like the circumference of the knee, and and then we got 36, and we divided it by 8, and we got 4.5, which added another ½ inch to make it 5 inches. So we're going to be cutting out 5 inch on each panel, and we're working on a bias. So like I said, from the waist to the knee it was 17 inches. The full length of the skirt is actually 42 inches. So when we subtract 17 from 42, we got 25. So this particular side is 25 inches. That's what we're going to be using for this particular side. Okay, so and what we're going to do here is that this is already on a fold, so what I need is 5 inches. So I'm going to need about 2.5 inches on this side because we're working on a fold. Okay, so 2.5 inches, so that when we open it, it will be 5 inches. So I'm just going to okay, to measure 2.5 inches. Okay, so this is 2.5 inches. This is where 2.5 inches is. Okay, so this is where 2.5 inches is. And for this, I'm going to measure the length from here. I told you the length is 25 inches. I'm just going to make it 26 inches. So I'm adding 1 inch to it for hemming. And this is 26 inches here. Okay, so I'm going to measure this from here, from the beginning here to this part. You see, to the full length, and this is 34 inches. So I'm just going to measure for 34 inch all through, and I'm doing this so that I can get a perfect curve. Because if I don't do this and I just do this, it's going to be straight. It's not going to be nice. So this, I'm going to connect all the lines like so. Okay, so from here, this is about 8 inches. From here to here is about 8 inches, and I'm just going to mark 8 inches like that, just to make sure I have a perfect curve. Okay, so I'm just going to cross check if I have 2 inches. That's 2.5 inches still. Okay, so this is actually 2.5 inches, which is perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut this out. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this out, and I'm going to use this particular one to cut out the remaining 7. I told you it was 8 panels. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You see what it looks like? So this is what it looks like. And when you open it out, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to cut out 8 of this. Okay, so this is the result. I've actually cut 8 of this. So I have 8 here. I have 8 of them here. Okay, so I'm going to actually be using interfacing like I showed you guys earlier. I'm going to be cutting out the interfacing. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be using. This is very, very stiff. It's very stiff. So I'm going to fold this out, and this, you don't need to cut this on a bias. So I'm just going to cut this out, place it on this I'm going to place this on this like so, you know, and I'm going to cut out the exact shape. So I'm going to be cutting out 8 of it, you know, so that it can go around for this. And I'm also going to cut out the lining, so everything is the same. Even the lining, I'm going to cut it out the same, you know. I'm going to cut out 8 of the lining as well. So I'm using black cotton lining, like I said, for this particular tutorial. So I'm going to go and cut it out off camera. Okay, so I have cut out 8 of my lining. So I have the lining and I also have this. So I've cut it out all out. So I'm going to go to my iron and I'm going to iron this particular one to this one, like I said earlier. Then I'm going to join it and I'll show you how I also get the lining joined. Okay, so we cut out the interfacing and then I've used my iron already to attach the interfacing to the fabric already. So I've done for all the 8 of them, and I finally did a base stitch, you know, to hold it strongly together, because I discovered that the glue on the interfacing, though it's fusible, but it's not so strong after ironing. So I decided to do a base stitch around it to hold it properly in place. So I've gone ahead to do for the 8 of them, and of course I've gone ahead to cut out my lining. So the lining is exactly the same size and everything is the same as the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead to, you know, stitch the lining to the fabric, just the hem, and then I'll show you how to, you know, join all of them together. I've attached the lining. I'm just going to give it small cuts like so. Then I'm going to open up and I'm going to do a top stitch. The top stitch I'm doing is on the lining, not on the fabric. Okay, so this is what it's looking like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, iron it. I'll repeat this process for all 8 of them. I'm going to, you see, I didn't close up the sides, just the hem. Okay, so this is what the back is looking like. I'm going to repeat this process for all 8 of them. Okay, so I've gone ahead to attach the lining to the fabric, and I've done a top stitch for all the 8 of them. So I just also went ahead to iron it and then trimmed off any excess. So this is the way it's looking right now. This is the way it's looking. So I have all of them here. I'm going to be joining all of them to each other, one after the other. So I'm going to open up like so. So there are 2 ways I can get this done, and one of the ways I can get this done is either to attach it like this, put the lining and then the fabric all through, or I put this in and then get to use this one to hold it together. So I don't know if you understand. This is a shorter way to do this. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Right side facing each other, and this one, the lining is on. So I place it here. You can use a pin to hold it down if you're not certain, if you're not sure. Then I'm using this other lining to cover it. I hope that is not confusing. So you can see I have 4 layers together. This is just a shorter way to do it, but if you get confused with this method, please just open it and run it from the lining all through to the fabric, or from the fabric all through to the lining. If you get confused with how I'm doing it right now. So I've just locked down my stitch, and I'm just going to go all the way.
Audio Jungle.
Okay, so I've gone ahead to join the 8 panel together. So this is the way it's looking. You can see the 8 of them. This is the way it's looking. It's a very wide flare. Okay, so this is the way the back is actually looking. You can see how neat the back is because of the method that I used. So it's very neat. There is no seam both on the outside and on the inside. There's no seam that is visible. It's inside. So this is what is left. Like, this is how the side looks. So you can actually decide to join all of them together like this to make it perfect. So you can decide to join all of them together, everything inside. But I decided to leave mine like this because I want the seam at the back to be visible, just in case. So I don't want to sew everything inside. If not, I would have just, continued with the same method I used initially. So I'm going to go ahead right now to close this other side up. Then I will attach it to the upper part of the skirt. So this is how the upper part of the skirt is looking. I've gone ahead to join everything, and I've attached, as in I've done the darts for my skirt, both for the front and the back, and I've shaped it. And then you see I also cut out a pattern from the wax fabric, and I've gone ahead to use a zigzag stitch. If you want to know how I did this, leave a comment below and I would definitely do a video on how I did this. It's just a simple and very easy method to attach this. I just did this so that it comes out looking more beautiful. I think it will look better than a plain black. So that's just my preference. You can choose to do that if you want. So the next thing is I'm going to attach this to this part, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I left an opening here, and I'll just go ahead to close this part and attach it round, and I'll show you guys what it looks like.